Good evening and welcome to The Square. Tonight we are going to be discussing the very important strides Rwanda is taking as a country to boost its tourism sector, which is the #1 forex earner of this country. A key component of the recent developments in this regard, as you are all aware, is the recent 3-year partnership deal between Rwanda and Arsenal Football Club, which is part of the new Visit Rwanda campaign. All this and more is what we'll be discussing here on The Square. And joining us on The Square is S1E Nhayombia, Head of Marketing and Communications at Rwanda Development Board. S1E, thank you for being with us this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Great. My name is Diana Mpisi. I'm part of The Square, and I'm always, as always, joined by my 4 resident panelists. And we have Charles Haber. Welcome to The Square.
Hi, Diana. How are you?
Good.
Yes.
Berna.
Pleasure.
Great. And Ephraim.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Great. So here to this evening, what we're about to discuss is this very much highly publicized and highly talked about partnership between Arsenal and Football Club in Rwanda as part of the Visit Rwanda campaign. And we'll also be having a look at the various developments to boost the tourism industry in the country. And I'll just go right into it. And S1E, my first question is for you, and also to be followed up by follow-up questions from my fellow panelists, Charles, Ephraim, and Berna. RDB, the Rwanda Development Board, through its subsidiary, the Rwanda Convention Bureau, has become Arsenal's first official sleeve partner for the country's drive to become a leading global tourist destination. And this 3-year deal falls under the Visit Rwanda campaign, means that Arsenal is now an official tourism partner to Rwanda. And the Visit Rwanda logo, as you all know, will feature on the left sleeve of all Arsenal players. And there's been a lot of talk on this deal, which many describe as a very bold move in marketing Rwanda. So my question to you, with just a bit of this background, is that can you share with us the rationale behind this significant move and the projected impacts?
Thanks so much, Diana, for having me. And thanks for having me here, because I know this panel is quite hot. I enjoy your show, and I hope that me being here will bring something different to the proceedings.
Yes.
So this deal, we should not think of this deal in a vacuum.
Yes.
This deal is just part of Rwanda's infrastructural transformation, the progress we've been trying to make in terms of creating a whole infrastructure around MICE, investment, tourism, and all these different aspects of that can really build our economy. So let's remember that, yes, this deal happened, but a few years ago we put together the Eurobond to finance the KCC. We've expanded Rwanda Air. We've done an open visa policy. We've improved the roads going to the national parks. We've trained more guides. We've worked with local communities. What we're trying to do is create an entire ecosystem around our tourism to bring socio-economic transformation to the country. What we're trying to do is become an upper middle class economy by 2050, if I'm not mistaken. So tourism has a huge role to play. The fact of the matter is, when people think of Rwanda, what do they think of? Outside, of course, our continent. They think Hotel Rwanda if they've watched movies, or they think of 1994 genocide, and that's pretty much it. So what we're trying to do is turn the perception of the country and get them to think about the country in something other than our negative past, and try to, link us as Rwanda with a known brand, a respected brand worldwide. And of course, when we got the opportunity to have these conversations with Arsenal last year, we were more than happy to talk. So I'm really excited about what we'll be able to do. The numbers are there. There was a long process, a long legal and marketing process that, this did not just happen by mistake.
Yeah.
How long did it take, actually, in brokering this deal?
So if I'm to be accurate, it was close to a year.
Okay.
Arsenal was looking. So first, I'm sure, especially Charlie, who watches the Premiership, you saw that Everton got Angry Birds last year, or maybe the year before last year, and then there were all these other teams were looking for additional funding. Arsenal had never done it before. Now they looked at, Rwanda as one. We have a lot of fans.
Did we approach them or they approached us?
No, they approached us. But once they approached us, because they said, well, we have this possibility to be on our sleeve, they knew that they had a strong affinity to Africa as Arsenal, and they thought that we as Rwanda and who we represent and what we represent, a transformation, a bright future, a transparency, all those things, they wanted to link their brand to ours. So they did, of course, their due diligence even before they reached out to us. Of course, they would have not come. They would have not come if they thought that we were basket case. So it was a kind of an acknowledgement of where we are. That's but them coming here, and by us also reaching out to them, we also acknowledge that, okay, they have something that we want. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't want to take too much time. Maybe it would work better if you guys shot me some questions, I shot you some questions as well.
If I can go first, I'm super excited about this deal.
Are you
for
an
a
Arsenal
number
fan?
of reasons. I used to be an Arsenal fan until...
more of a cricket fan, actually.
No, I used to be. I just to set the record
In fact, one of the
straight,
other things that you should remember,
Yes.
that cricket stadium is actually another aspect of our...
Absolutely,
our
and we have already
tourism.
started seeing that. We have
Yes.
already started seeing tourism, cricket tourists, sports tourists coming through. But I want to say, I'm super excited about that deal for 2 or 3 major reasons. One is because I used to be an Arsenal fan until I got hypertension, heart attack, pressure,
terrible.
disappointment,
You're not
all of them in one package
shall bring
over
you
several
back.
seasons,
terrible.
and I demoted myself to an Arsenal sympathizer. Now, that's the first reason why I'm excited about that deal. The second thing is from the days of Highbury now to the Emirates, the games that involve Arsenal pool numbers. So whoever thought about that was an extremely brilliant person. The numbers, the number of people who will be looking at the brand and visit Rwanda and what have you are, you can only dream of the sky. Now, thirdly and most importantly, is that the #1 brand that Rwanda has is President Paul Kagame. Now, by virtue of the fact that the president is an Arsenal fan, if you're not able to cash in on that, then if this deal had come probably a year late, then I think, son, you should have lost your job. Because in effect, if you're not able, and that's why I asked you whether it's us who thought about them or they did. And I commend their marketing team for having thought about it. If you have a very strong brand like Paul Kagame that is associated with something and you don't cash in on that, then you'd be probably need to see a psychiatrist. The same reason that if you look at the Royal Tour,
Yes.
the president is seen on a bike, and the Rwandan cycling team riding in the opposite direction. For the Cycling Federation not to be able to cash in on that, they probably need a lesson or two about marketing. So I think, in my opinion, it's a brilliant idea. Later on, I'll talk about how prepared we are.
Yes.
And that's actually my biggest concern about this.
And which is what we're going to dive into
yeah.
in the second half of the show. Bernard and Ephraim, based on Sunny's explanation on this very significant move for Rwanda's tourist industry, what's your take on this?
I think that as Rwandans, there's no debate in terms of what we stand to benefit from this deal. The question is not whether it was worth it or not.
It is worth
At
it.
the point, yes.
Yes.
Because already the debate that it has kind of brought to the table, in my view, is healthy. Because in itself, already we have the marketing done for free. You know, having the international media pick interest in Rwanda and the story, we have, in a way, made progress in terms of marketing. But I think the more difficult discussion that we are probably going to have to look at is the kind of projections that they're giving us in terms of the millions of visitors that they are looking to get from the deal. 800 million. The numbers, it is always good to, you know, to come up with projections.
Sure that we're not saying, and that we've never said, vis-a-vis this deal, that we're going to get 800 million from this deal. That's not what we said. What we said is that we want to double our earnings from what we have today to double that by 2024.
And this is
absolutely.
one of the ways.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
very clear.
That's very
clear. But you see, the kind of discussion that we really need to have is, I need you to tell me, as an ordinary Rwandan, if I'm not an Arsenal fan and I don't care what Arsenal does, how am I going to benefit from this deal? So far, I don't think RDB has actually done a good job in terms of explaining.
By the
well,
way,
that's why
no.
But that's why he's here.
Hold on.
Even though I follow football, I don't watch football.
Yes.
I mean, football has to watch me. It has to be somewhere where I am for me to watch the game. Yeah, but I won't go out of my way to watch a football game. But I see myself, and Bana, this is directly in response to you. I see myself benefiting from that because when we have visitors coming in, I'm a businessman, I'm in the real estate business. When they see
high-end real estate,
and I will also
I
will also link that to what Sunny said earlier on, that they're medium to high-end. I think that's what you called it. Rwanda,
tourism.
Rwanda. We are not blessed with all these minerals and all these animals in the national parks and what have you.
Actually,
and
we
that
do
is why
have
I
minerals.
commend. No, hang on a second.
We do have minerals.
No.
Right now, minerals are doing very well. Charles and Brenner. Yes,
all
yes.
these. The
Just
keyword being all these.
be quick with you.
We are a niche tourist destination, and that's
pretty
that
clear.
is my point, and that's what's pretty clear.
But that's what we want.
And that,
Yes.
So let's
I am not disputing it, and I think it's fantastic. We should stick in that direction. The ordinary Muturaji that you're looking for to benefit from this deal will benefit from the millions or billions that will possibly come into our coffers that will then allow the government to be able to provide the goods and services to that ordinary Muturaji.
You see,
but then you've also forgotten one thing. I just want you to okay, so it's always good to, you can talk about it at a macroeconomic level, but let me also just talk about it at a more community level.
Yes.
So we have what we call the revenue share program, right? So 10% of all earnings, park earnings, are shared with the communities living around the parks. So that we use that money to be able to build schools, to create community centers, health centers, give them water. That
is very clear.
Direct, and
that one is very clear.
The
question I'm asking, let me be very clear and very specific, yeah? What we are saying is we are trying to build an ecosystem around tourism that benefits, that trickles down. Now, I can understand that you need Forex to come in, one, to finance infrastructure. That's no brainer. Because in the end, the infrastructure, everyone will use it. If you're building hospitals, if we are financing the airline, that's no brainer. But what we want to take the conversation down and say, if you're someone in Musanze, these people are coming. This is what is expected. We are selling this destination as high-end. And when we say high-end, this is what is expected. Because quite often, we are selling high-end, but if somebody goes to Musanze, the kind of service they will get is not actually high-end. Well, so explaining it in a way that, you know, the Muturaje will know if I work in a shop, if I work in a hotel, this is what is expected of me.
So that's why we have the Nayombi campaign. That one falls also under RDB. Right now, as we speak, we've started the Nayombi 2 campaign, where we're saying, say no, hakana servisimbi, say no to bad service.
For how long has Nayombi been running?
It has been running for a few years now.
I think it's a total failure.
You think so?
Yes.
Well,
because I don't
Total.
see. Yes.
Total. I feel that Total
yeah.
is
Charles,
strong.
hold your comments. Hold your comments.
I feel that that's,
No, Charles, hold your comments.
But
that's hyperbole,
yes,
very high.
But it's for purposes of emphasis.
Okay,
It's
we'll
for
get back to that
purposes of
later. We'll get back to that later.
Yeah,
Let Sunny finish his point. And Ephraim, I really want to hear from you. Charles and Brenna, you've been dominating this conversation. Before we go for the break, we also need to hear from Ephraim. But please, Sunny, please answer the question.
So so what we're trying to do is actually, because it's a mindset change. I mean, it's hard. You're not going to tell people that I force you to do what's the best in your own interest. We cannot force someone to serve you well. We can try to say, listen, this is the best, this is in your own best interest. But it's hard. It's hard. And it's a continuous process.
It's a journey.
It's where we're just taking the steps. Of
I
course,
am interested
however,
in knowing what Nayombi 2 is going to do differently that Nayombi 1 did not do. Because clearly, if we are still complaining, and I'm glad that you're acknowledging the fact that it's still it's a journey.
Process. It's a process.
Yes, I'm glad you're acknowledging that, because that will help you as RDB to be able to address the gaps that we see there in our customer care campaign and how we receive people. But I'm keen. What are those specific things that Nayombi 2 is going to do?
And Sunny, this is in response to Brenna's question, where she's asking, what is the ordinary person going to benefit from this different plugged-in developments to boost the tourism sector? Well,
if you look at one of the things that we've realized, even us as Rwandans, we are our own problem. You go to a restaurant, you get bad service. What do? You shake your head, and you still stay there. And you stay there, and you accept that bad service. There is no reason for that restaurateur or other hotelier to treat you better, because at the end of the day, people do what's in their own best interest. If we were to say, no, I will not accept this, I will take my money elsewhere. But it seems that we're a bit too loyal, or we've gotten into the wihangani. And it's really become who we are. What we're trying to do is say, okay, maybe we're not able to force service providers to serve better. Maybe what we need to do is tell people that you should not accept this. Maybe if they don't accept it, then the service providers will have no choice but to up their game.
Yeah. But there's some kind of incentives that you can come up with to get the private sector, these service providers, to actually do better. So, I'll tell you,
like if you ask
awards.
Let's ask the businessman here.
We are all businessmen.
No, all of us.
Except women. I'm employed.
Okay. Are you sensitive to what your customers do or how they perceive you?
Yeah, a lot, 100%.
So if people have stopped coming to you, would you not think, maybe I'm doing something wrong?
Definitely, I would.
Okay, that would cause some introspection, and then you might say, okay, maybe I need to do this and this and this.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to say is, okay, maybe that's where we should maybe start telling people, okay, don't accept this. And then maybe then the private sector will react in a more positive way.
Sunny, I'm afraid that would take a very long time.
That's why I said
the approach needs to change.
Ephraim, I would like to hear your thoughts, Charles and Brenna. Ephraim, I'd like to hear your thoughts generally on this particular partnership and what it means for the country.
So I'll try to be brief.
Yes.
One, for me, I think the partnership is great. One, because it challenges the narrative that these colonizers have continuously forced on us. And you can see that's what's causing a huge stir in the international community. Again, the numbers don't lie. This is a huge deal for us as a country. It's a bold step. And first of all, regardless of the amount, whether it's 10, whether it's 30, whether it's 100, the fact of the matter is there's a net benefit. And coming back to how you can explain it to the ordinary citizen, just tell them, look, imagine your house and you have visitors who come. And you have a pot where they can drop money and maybe pick a souvenir as they leave, and they keep doing that. At the end of the day, your house is going to have more money than it did before, and that's a very easy way to explain it to the average citizen. But another thing that people don't take into consideration is that for any investor, now I'm talking about like where we now talk about FDI, which we really praise and we say we're in the billions of dollars, now beyond the 404 that we generate from tourism.
Yeah, currently.
An investor doesn't become an investor just in the air. You know, somebody doesn't just watch TV, hear about Rwanda and say, I'm going to put my money there overnight. They first visit, most of them actually. They first
Google.
They first Google,
yes.
and then they see Arsenal deal, they see this, they see that, and they're like, okay, let me actually go. They physically come here and they're like, this place is clean, this place is safe, this place is X, Y, Z. They're like, I want to put my money there. So
and they visit RDP.
And
of course, they visit RDP.
Obviously, they have no choice. But the idea is that if we look at tourism as in its, if we look at tourism in a vacuum, and I think he said this from the beginning, when you look at it, he talked about the Arsenal deal in a vacuum, but I feel like if we look at tourism in a vacuum by itself, we lose understanding the true impact it has on our society and our community and our economy. It's much greater. And that's what we should be looking at. The fact that Rwanda comes here physically, like Rwanda connects to many African cities and we have this visa policy, the idea is that it makes it easier for a lot of other Africans to look at our market as a center. You know, that's what Dubai was for the longest, where guys knew this is a trade center. We work from here and we trade with the rest of the continent because it's rest of the world because it's easier from here. And that's what you can see is happening through the boosting of our tourism sector. And I think Visit Rwanda and this Arsenal sponsorship is perfect.
Absolutely. And I just want to touch on this aspect of, you know, there's been a lot of naysayers, you know, about this particular partnership with people, you know, for lack of a better word, calling it untenable. And just very quickly before we go to the break, and also not to give it the weight that it does not deserve, but just very quickly, what's your take on this?
I think they should go and hang.
I should go to hell.
We're on national TV. Sunny, but I agree with you,
For that matter, I think I can repeat it. They should go and hang.
Well, all I can say is the conversations that we're trying to have as a country is that we're trying to create sustainability and self-reliance. This deal is part of our strategy. We are trying to change the conversation. I will have you know that Google searches for the word Rwanda
have increased.
Yeah,
I read
by
that.
almost 100 times
Yes.
over the period, and it has barely slowed down.
Yes.
But it's not yet gone down to the levels that we had just 2
Last
weeks
week.
ago.
Yeah. Or the week
So
before.
I mean, think about that. And now when you type in the word Rwanda, before it would automatically, you know, there's that
the suggestions.
pages
it was first Rwanda genocide, Rwanda war. Now it's Rwanda suggestion Arsenal. That's the first one.
Yeah.
And that's powerful. That's like, okay, all of a sudden the first thing you get is not skulls and bones.
Yeah.
It's Lacazette standing there with our name on his arm. That's huge for us. And for those who disagree with our decision because, you know, we're still an aid-dependent nation, that's not what we're trying to do. That's not who we're trying to be. Yes, we take aid. Yes, we need aid at this moment.
And for specific areas.
Actually, even when you look at contextualize some of these economies that are pointing fingers, you know the popular saying that don't throw stones if you live in a glass house.
I don't believe that their
But
economies
here's
are
the thing,
throwing stones. I think they're
it's-
just
it's
big-headed
crazy.
individuals.
It's
who
crazy.
are
No, they
doing
just
that. I
don't want
think
us.
yes.
Listen,
They're just
so many African countries advertise on CNN,
Yeah.
on BBC, on Al Jazeera, on ITV, and very often they will pay. You will end up paying maybe $3 million for a 30-second segment. No,
Yes.
30-second segment.
Yes.
Maybe 4 times a day.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they will tell you that, we have an international viewership of 100 million. No, that is not true. That is not true. But they will be okay. No one will say you shouldn't do this. No. It's our problem is that we got too big for our boots.
I tell you what, Sunny, for me, I just feel that we need to shift the discussion, I mean, away from people who feel this should be explained to them, you know, and stick to what can we do? Now it's signed, what can we do? Move the discussion forward. Otherwise, for me, I mean, every morning you wake up and so has responded. So what? I mean, as a taxpayer, all I want you to tell me is we are going to do ABCD.
Return on
and
investment.
you know,
Yes.
and have a return on investment.
And this is part of
Yeah.
the next segment of the show. You know, this part was just to discuss, you know, the significance and for you to explain to us and our audiences what is the rationale behind this particular partnership. And I think you did a fantastic job. So the next part of to answer your question, Bernard, of this show, we're going to focus on what's next. So we'll be back after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to The Square. Tonight we're discussing the various developments that Rwanda is making as a country to boost its tourism industry. And some of the very major developments we've been discussing before the break was based on this new partnership between Arsenal Football Club and Rwanda. My next question to you, Sunny, is based, I'll just give a brief background. The tourism industry is Rwanda's, we all know that, largest forex earner. Last year, Rwanda received 1.3 million visitors, and in 2017, tourism generated 90,000 jobs. We've been recognized as a top travel destination by both CNN and The Telegraph, and was recently featured by the New York Times on its annual 52 places to go in 2018. These are very remarkable strides. In addition to this, Rwanda Development Board states that Rwanda aims to increase tourism revenues from $404 million currently to $800 million in 2024. So in a nutshell, can you just tell us some of the key aspects that are responsible for these developments? And then going back to what we discussed, what are some future activities or projects planned in the tourism industry so that we can leverage on these current deals that we are making?
Consider too that I think some of those figures are cooked.
Who cooked them?
Who cooked them?
Are you a chef?
You must have been in the kitchen.
So, okay,
Yeah.
on a serious note though, so of course we're not just sitting here as RDB and just waiting for the money to fall from the skies like manna. One, we are being proactive, as was seen by this latest deal. But even before that, we've been attending all sorts of fairs, travel fairs around the world. We were recently in This is Africa, in South Africa, meeting and trying to get into that high-end, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get those high-end visitors, those guys who will sleep in Bisate Lodge and throw down $6,000 a night. As you probably said, we're not able to do mass tourism, but what we can do is make sure that whatever we do is top-notch. Think about this, right? So we all know that Ellen was here, right? So she spent a couple of nights in Bisate. It was, from what I know, she had an amazing experience.
She's left already? I thought she jetted in today.
No,
Oh,
she's gone.
She's gone. Okay.
She came on Saturday and
Okay.
she left on Tuesday.
This is Ellen DeGeneres.
Yes.
Just in case you guys don't know.
Yes, I'm pretty sure you saw the picture. Did you see the pictures?
Yeah,
with her?
we've seen
course.
that.
Even the
Of
videos,
course.
but
Yes,
Yeah, we've seen
yes.
that.
So that one was not that sign was not there by mistake.
Yes.
Someone actually sat down and thought, this might be a good opportunity for us to get in. I mean, right now she has more than 100 million followers.
78 million.
Across.
Yeah.
78 million Twitter
On
followers.
Twitter, and then on
No, you throw
Instagram,
Oh, in general,
Twitter,
yes.
Instagram,
Yes,
Ellen
yes,
Show,
yes,
the Ellen
yes.
Shop.
Yeah.
She's an industry in
Yeah.
of herself.
Yes.
So we're reaching out to those kind of people. But we can't just do the reach out, right? We also have to make sure that back home, when they do come, they're having all these experiences. So we look at what has been put up. We have the Radisson, we have the Marriott, you have the Serena, we have the Sheraton coming up.
We
have
do?
the Sheraton.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Charlie will. The Sheraton coming up. We have a new the planned new
But
Eco Lodge.
we have those amazing brands, maybe 5-6 brands. But on the backdrop of that, we have more than 20 hotels that are under foreclosure.
Yeah.
Well, that one is maybe
Shocking.
they were not able to
Yes.
to. I'll not try to presume to know what happened.
And it's another
no,
topic.
what
It's
I
another
mean-
topic
yeah.
for another day.
Yeah,
I cannot
my
presume.
argument is, the reason why I brought it up is that do not make a futile attempt at painting a very rosy
No,
picture
what
about the
I'm
hotel
trying,
sector.
not
Yeah.
necessarily,
Yeah.
but then they're there.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
there. What we're saying is that we're trying to put in place
High end.
Yes.
the facilities.
But my question is now, you have accommodation, but what about entertainment and leisure?
Yeah.
Because we know it. Even us as Rwandans, we may not have the need to go stay at Radisson or Marriott, but we still have also, and this is also towards the point of domestic tourism. There's a need for more when it comes to leisure and entertainment.
Yeah.
And I asked this recently. I remember that when His Excellency was giving was honoring Friends of Rwanda and giving the medals, we had a Nigerian multi-millionaire come in, and he came with his 5 friends, and each of them came with their private jets, and apparently they spent a night. Now I can imagine that if those guys wanted to go out, if we had a high-end place where they could go, those individuals would have spent nothing less than 10,000 each that
But
evening.
then here's the question, right? We try to regulate the industry,
Yeah.
Over-regulate it.
regulate the industry.
Yes.
Now, you've talked about the Nigerians who want to come and chop their money.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
I
a good
cannot, I cannot, we or RDB is not going to tell them, is not going to build a nightclub.
No.
So the question is, maybe has the private sector been able to fully understand what we're trying to do? Right now, we had the recent reopening of our premier nightclub, B Club, K Club, I don't know what
K-Club,
it's called. Yeah, just recently.
And then the following day, the night it opened, there was a police roadblock right in front of the club.
Now you want people to drink and drive.
No, I mean,
But-
even before,
no,
even
but
before the
there's-
roadblock
but
was
there's-
I like
there.
that you-
But there's something I want to bring up.
Roadblocks are not going to
No, but
there's-
these
Charles,
roadblocks are not
Charles,
the
please.
solution to
There's
stopping
something I want to
people
bring up.
from drinking and driving.
There's something
Yeah.
I want to bring up, because you see, we're talking about RDB cannot tell the investors to go to do this, but that happened with hotels. And I'm coming to my point. The reason why he mentioned the foreclosure of hotels is because investors were told there's this huge opportunity, there's this demand, there's this, there's that, there's that. But
And so are the banks too. Yes.
And there was no data. There was no concrete data, or at least the data was not accurate enough to tell them that if you're going to build a hotel, it has to be of a certain quality and of a certain standard. They were just told build hotels. And we're sitting here and we're saying, look, the RDB or government cannot build these nightclubs. Yes, so it's the private sector. But what data is there to give the investors the confidence to say, we're going to put our money into these high-end nightclubs, but how many guests do we know? How many guests are coming in who need these services?
And which I think is the missing
actually,
link.
If you're right, but Ephraim, you raise a very pertinent point and directly related to what you said around the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And as RDB, you're the engine of the economy. You're the ones
Well,
who
actually,
are best placed.
The people are
Yeah.
the engines of our economy.
Yeah, but RDB, well,
You're
have that
technically the
coordination.
driver. You're the
You're the
driver.
full
You're
arm.
the driver's
So
seat.
You're the
So
fulcrum of
basically,
all this. Yes,
in a
it
nutshell-
should be your responsibility, sorry Diana, it should be your responsibility as RDB to make sure that the whole engine is oiled, that the whole ecosystem
But you
is
make it-
working
you make it-
efficiently.
But you're making it seem
not,
as if
are
you saying that it's not working?
No, of course we have major,
No, we have
major challenges, and we just talked about leisure and entertainment, and I will give you an example. I think one of the best things that I would strongly recommend that you do to promote leisure and entertainment, get whoever matters in the National Police, put them on a plane, fly them to a destination like Cape Town, and show them how people live in a nightlife without disturbing, whilst coexisting with other people.
Let's
get the city council officials as well, and put them on the same trip with the police. So, and I'm talking about your federal government institutions.
Please,
right now.
No, let our guest answer.
Some of these issues are also pertaining to the zoning of this city.
Yes.
Now, because I'm assuming we're going back to that topic of noise pollution and all these issues that come with noise pollution.
I like that you're coming back. This is the question that Ephraim asked, and let's just stick to the parallels. So, what is RDB, as someone who's in charge of these basic avenues, what are some things you can tell us in terms of leisure and entertainment that is in the pipeline so that we can actually absorb and leverage with deals like this Arsenal Rwanda partnership?
Well,
let's just go back to that.
I'm trying to make sure that I answer your question because it's a bit confusing. Could you repeat it maybe?
So basically, what developments are there in the pipeline as a country that RDB may know? You can share with us that are basically being planned so as to leverage on this opportunity, this partnership between Rwanda and Arsenal. What are we doing?
So, of course...
So when the 35 million views, when it actually comes to fruition, people coming into the country, what are we doing in terms of leisure? What are we doing in terms of entertainment? Or what are some things that you think should be done?
It's largely about the enabling environment.
Yes.
Okay.
What are you doing to ensure that there's an enabling environment?
Okay, this becomes, I find it interesting. Okay, so you said that there were hotel foreclosures, but then we're also saying that more people will come.
Yes.
We're creating that's what we're trying to do.
So my question is,
right?
so where's the gap? Where's the gap? Well, how come the question is, how come there are these closures and there are more people coming?
There are more people because think about this, right? How many rooms did we see come onto the market just over the last 2 years?
I cannot speak
to
that.
A lot.
I think 1,200, I think.
Easily. So the problem might not necessarily be that the numbers are not good. They might be that we're now creating more supply. There's more supply of hotel rooms. So there are more. And we also forget the internet. People are staying in Airbnbs. So people are choosing to spend $20 and live in Kimironko for a couple of days rather than spend that kind of money in a hotel. And I mean, there's those certain disruptions that maybe a few years ago we did not even think that Airbnb would exist.
Sunny. And Sunny, this is what I think Ephraim is trying to say is, as RDB, if you're selling Rwanda as a destination, in terms of the groundwork for our private sector to take advantage of these opportunities, I'll clarify, like the issue of we are having lots of small and medium hotels, facing almost closure. Most of them are facing auction because they got overpriced loans. And this was just because they had, Rwanda was going to have conferences, yeah? But the detail, let me finish. The detail of, by the way, the caveat is, as private sector, as you plan to take advantage of these opportunities, you need to be aware that we are promoting a high-end destination. This conversation is coming almost 5 years late. And so what do you tell a business person who got 100 million and just focused on rooms and not getting it right in terms of quality? So what we want from this Arsenal deal is, in terms of the private sector, what are you telling them? What are the
to prepare themselves?
Yes. If you're going to, as a private person, if you're going to make souvenirs for high end, what should they look like? What would be the costing? So are these the kind of discussions you've had?
But I I'm not too sure whether it's the best practice to tell people exactly what to do.
But it's already been
Like,
done.
right, you can't.
And I agree with you.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
agreed.
But
It's
you
agreed.
give
At
the
some-
guys,
at
can
some
you
level.
let Sunny answer?
At some
Relax,
level,
let him answer.
you have to take initiative as a businessman or woman. You know, you can't just.
But Sunny, you can inform them. You can inform them.
So
facilitate
here's-
the information.
You're in the
here's
business
what-
of
this
easing.
This is what we've done. We've told the world, that we've told the country and the world, come to visit Rwanda. Okay? Now, it's up to you as a business person, because we don't also own the tour companies. We don't do that. What we're saying is, come, and there's going to be people around you dealing with that kind of that ecosystem around that. How much do you want government to do? How much is it?
So
how much
I want
we
to-
want
I want-
government
But
to
you
do?
know what?
2 minutes.
How
Hold
much
on,
I
1
want
minute.
government
1
to
minute.
do,
No,
yes.
Charles, 1 minute, and Ephraim is very unruly today. But I think, Sunny, basically, and I think this is also what I'm picking up from this, is a conversation that we should have on the square in the future. We've talked about this partnership, what it means for Rwanda, and the particular opportunities that are there. But next time, I think in depth, and this is what Sunny might tell us on the next show, is things that are happening on the ground. We need to have a conversation, which is what we are saying, where we leverage this opportunity, whether it's in the private sector, in partnership, private sector and public sector. We need to have a conversation as key players. What opportunities are there? RDB playing its role, private sector members playing their role, to really leverage this
I would suggest
opportunity.
you invite Miss Bonita, who is a member of the RTDA,
Yes.
to come to the Rwanda Tour and Travel Association,
Yes.
to come and to ask them, are you ready? Because what we're saying, this is what we've done for you.
And rightly so.
Are
What
you ready?
RDB needs to do, and because you have done this before, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'll give you a perfect example of what
However,
you did.
let's also
Let me just
remember
make a
that we
point.
are meeting them, by the way. It's not that we're not, I don't want it to seem like we're not. I'm just saying that there should be more initiative.
Yes.
I want to talk about the enabling
Can you
environment
be
and
very
give a
quickly
perfect
before we
example
to a social
of
media?
what RDB did with doing business.
Yeah.
When RDB realized that we had to improve our World Bank doing business ranking and actually an enabling environment, they went to all the stakeholders. City of Kigali doing permits, the other authority that issues titles, the other guys that do REMA certification,
and so
and
on.
so on and so forth.
Yes.
In the same breath,
Absolutely.
the Rwanda Convention Bureau should talk to all the stakeholders
Absolutely.
to make sure they are together in this drive.
Yes.
And that, I think, is going to be the #1 game changer in as far as
in two sentences. In two sentences, I want to just say something. Coming back to this whole thing, because I feel like it's a conversation we could have in depth. And
in
coming back to this thing of saying the role of RDB in all of this thing, in coordinating what's on the ground. There's that investment promotion division at RDB. And if I'm not wrong, it's there to promote investments. And if I'm not wrong,
Actually, tourism is actually one of our cornerstone
opportunities.
opportunities
Exactly.
to increase.
Now, haven't you seen situations where in that brief or brochure for the investment promotion or the opportunities in Rwanda, they actually state the amounts needed for the investments? Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
They'll tell you, we have a
Kivu Bell,
hotel, what,
this, yes.
$21 million, this, $6 million. My question is, those investment amounts, the private sector takes that as the letter, goes to the bank, gets $6 million and invests it towards that without any data to substantiate the fact that they will actually get it back. And I'm saying that, and I'm trying to say that obviously the private sector has a role to play, but how much is RDB actually understanding what they need to do in that whole process? And that for me is my 2 sentences.
I think he's taken note of that. Let's just go to our social media very quickly. And the social media ties in with my next question. So it's basically about local tourism and what's being done. So this is from Frank. Frank says, I welcome the Visit Rwanda campaign boosted by the Arsenal deal. However, I hope RDB Rwanda complements it with a sustained domestic tourism drive. Locals need to travel more within the countryside. Initiatives outside of Kigali. So briefly, before we
Temburu
end the
Rwanda.
show, yes.
That's,
but,
I mean, it's a brand that is probably known at this point.
But what's the status of it?
It did not just
tourism.
it did not just fall from the sky.
Yes.
It was a thought out strategy to increase local tourism. What we've now noticed over the last couple of years, for the first time, I'll just look at park permits. For the first time ever since Akagera National Park was there, only over the last few years have local tourists dominated the segment over of the people who are now going to Akagera. If you go to Gisenyi, on a weekend, the vast majority of the people there are Rwandans.
It's true.
Our Gisenyi, whether it's Kibuye,
as well,
you go to
Muhazi.
Nyamata.
Even Muhazi.
Nyamata has become quite a sight. I mean, who would ever thought that Nyamata could actually have that and people actually go? So people are traveling. It's simply because people have more disposable income. And that one kind of ties back into that socio-economic sphere of what Rwanda is trying to do. Well, if we have an average GDP of about $700, the more money people have to spend, the more that they will be able to spend. And it kind of feeds into that. I do see that domestic tourism is going to play a greater and greater role. And I guess when we look at our figures, that also, it's not everything will come from the outside. A lot of it is going to be because of people like my fellow panelists here. Spend your money. Stop going to Dubai. Go to Bisate.
6K.
We would like to see the gorillas, but they're too expensive.
You're not talking about Dubai.
I have a Nigerian client who told me.
My salary cannot.
You go to holiday in Dubai.
But
No, I don't.
$1,500 for 1 hour.
No,
It's a once in a lifetime. Don't do it again. Just do it once.
No, but
It's out of your
the local
system.
tourism, so basically what you're saying, to just come back to the question, is that so far, what's the status? So far, so good?
Well,
Because the
they're always-
$1,500 permits are a high end. The 1,000 per night at Bisate Lodge is high end. For local domestic tourism, what's the status so far?
Well,
In lieu of the recent changes, the
so,
hiking prices.
like,
and so
look
forth.
at the fact of the matter is when we see the golden tulip. I don't know if it's still called golden
Was
tulip.
golden. Yeah.
Opening in Nyamata. I mean,
And
who would have ever?
closed.
No, it's open.
It's still
It's
Golden
open.
tulip left the
Yes.
market.
Yeah, and
But
someone
the
else
hotel
can
is still running.
Yes, but it's not called golden
And
tulip.
people go there.
Yeah, it's
the
not
structure is
golden
still there,
tulip.
Charles.
structure is
Yes.
there with
Yeah.
The point is met.
We get you. We get your point.
If you look at the fact that you have more people biking, you have people going canoeing, people going to the caves. I go on social media, people are going all over the place. They're doing. I saw now we have horses in Mount Kigali.
Kigali.
We have a small zip line that people now go to.
There are options for sure.
So there are options,
There are
and
options, yes.
no one is telling them to do it.
Yes.
People are doing it themselves. So I do think, and if you go to those places, you'll find the vast majority of Rwandans.
Yes.
They're
No,
young
for sure there
Rwandans.
is a lot, as a businessman, I do a lot of work with RDB, and I know you cannot say this, but I'll take the liberty to say it on your behalf.
Please don't.
I think, I strongly recommend
be nice.
that
Yeah.
all the other government institutions that are affiliated towards this drive need to support RDB
But
if
they
they are
do.
going to achieve these targets.
First,
Notably,
they
civil aviation, City of Kigali,
Well,
The police.
National Police,
Yes.
um,
Rural.
RTDA,
Even the regulatory
yeah,
agencies
the
and so forth.
regulatory agencies, and everyone else who WDA,
But
you know,
again,
or
you make it
I
seem-
don't feel
you make it seem as
there's
if it's
room
not
for
happening.
development. There's room for
Absolutely.
improvement. That's
that,
what
that
that's
goes
the
without
point.
saying.
Yeah.
That goes
And,
without saying.
yeah.
But we are a developing nation. There's a reason why we're not.
But that should never be. That should never be. But that should never be a rationale that we ever bring. I do understand in progress and moving slowly, but at one point where you say, no, we're not there because we are going to get there, I don't believe that is.
Again, I did not agree with Charlie saying that you know, our RDB needs to sit down and talk to
No, I think what Charlie meant,
do.
yeah, you
We
absolutely,
already do.
what Charlie is doing, Sunny, is just saying there's room for improvement, especially in light of these very significant changes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and please also remember
That's
you're
all.
only paid by RDB to do their PR. Don't make
Don't
the
do-
other
don't do PR for
institutions that
everyone
make
else.
you look bad.
But
Yeah,
here's the
you,
thing,
you
though.
shouldn't you shouldn't
he's
praise the
Rwandan.
other
He's-
institutions that
he's
make you
doing
look
PR
It's
bad.
your
for his country.
government.
Yeah.
It's your government that you chose by overwhelming majority.
Yes, and we, you
So-
see,
If I could just-
Yes,
in the
Brenna,
same breath,
Charles,
we
Brenna,
demand more.
very, yes.
And you will
Yeah.
Very
get
quickly,
more.
Yeah,
Brenna.
we demand more, we
Just to
demand
say,
better.
just to
And-
emphasize
and
that
don't
we,
accept bad service.
just
Demand
to,
better service.
just to emphasize,
Naomi.
I feel that we really need to have a strong focus on boosting domestic tourism, and I'll tell you why. You know, it is very nice to focus on foreigners, these tourists. They pay a lot of money, but that makes us very vulnerable to circumstances in their countries. We saw this in 2008 when there was a financial crisis. We were on our knees, literally, because we were targeting foreigners. So I think in the long term, and I'm glad that this deal is just 3 years. 3 years, hopefully, end of 3 years, we'll have a deal that is focusing on boosting domestic
we might
tourism
even go
and
bigger.
making
Sunny,
it more
absolutely.
sustainable.
So I totally get that. So in a nutshell, you know, as we come to the end of the show, boosting
too short.
I know, we definitely have to have this conversation again, but boosting domestic tourism is a definite need. And what we have the takeaway from this evening is that we need to have a conversation, all the stakeholders involved on the next steps. The RDB has done an amazing job. Rwanda as a country has done an amazing job in really promoting brand Rwanda globally. But the next steps that we need to now look at, how can we leverage this opportunity as a country from the private sector to different stakeholders involved. It's been a very enlightening discussion, very dynamic. I had to calm down you guys a couple of times, but this is a conversation I think we need to have once more. But thank you for joining us this
It
evening.
was a pleasure.
And stay tuned for next week. Always a pleasure. Big on the Square. Have a good evening.